I hold here in my formerly nicotine-stained fingers a copy of On the Rocks by Taylor Dibbert. This is his latest collection of poetry. It came out from Anxiety Press earlier this year. It's a collection of, as you can probably guess, drinking poems. It's hard to make out this cover design. My camera is not high def, and this is a black scale cover, but it's a drinking glass with a human heart in it. The poems here have been DI'd. This is second person type poems. There's no I, me. It's he, him. Something kind of unique. You don't see that very often. Poets love to talk about themselves. I, all throughout their poems. There's the first little change of pace we get from this poem. I've read Taylor Dibbert before. He is a frequent contributor at dearbooze.com. And in here, this is drinking poems, is what they are, but he starts off by letting us know why he writes poetry. Why do people write poetry? Waste of time, ain't it? In the poem here called Nowhere to Hide, he says, and then his friend asks him if he still writes poetry, and he says yes. And the friend asks what it is about poetry that he likes so much. And he doesn't know where to begin. The search for precision, the examination of pain, revisiting old scars and processing fresh wounds, readying oneself for the trauma and triumphs ahead. But more than anything else, what he likes about poetry is the urgent need to get to the point and the fact that there's nowhere to hide. Good poem. There's lots of reasons why we read poetry or fiction or anything. It goes beyond just being entertained and informed. Those are the two main reasons. But something else we read for, especially in my case, is seeing affinities with the author, seeing yourself in the story that you're reading or the poem you're reading. Say, aha, that is me right there. He wrote about me. So see the affinities in these poems. And so one of the reasons, I'm 60 years old, never married, no family, no kids, been solo my whole life. So when I come across poems about solitude, being a loner, those are the kind of poems that I like. They strike an affinity with me. Here's a poem called The Hard Way. If you fall for someone who has problems, their problems are poised to become your problems. He learned that the hard way. I learned it the easy way. I always knew if you are going to get to a crowd of friends, have a family, whatever, what do? Borrow money. They get sick and go to the hospital, you got to go visit them in the hospital too. Why do you want to put up with bullshit like that? Better just to be a loner. Now, he also does not like visits from his in-laws. A couple of poems about that. I bet if his in-laws see this book, they ain't smiling right now. Australian for beer. In his poem, Pain Management, about halfway through the poem, I'm going to read the whole thing. None of the poems are really very long in here. Kind of Bukowskian is what they are. And Bukowskian, more than that, they're about drinking poems, and they're prosy poems. They're not very poetic. He also has a thing that Bukowski does in some of his poems, but not all, where they're really short lines, 1-2 words per line. Does that show up? See that? Really short lines. You do that probably to pick up the pace of your poem. Pain management. He reminds himself that no amount of alcohol will save him from what's about to happen. That no amount of alcohol will save him from these ridiculous people. Talking about his in-laws. And in reading the collection, under the impression, well, not under the impression, he says he's divorced and separated. Here's another poem about his in-laws in here, too. Whether he's visiting them or they visiting him, he doesn't like it either way. And he's thinking to himself, what's the name of this poem? This is a longer poem, probably the longest poem in the book. Christmas in Canada. And he's thinking to himself and wondering how he's ever going to survive this evening. What he doesn't know is that he's not going to have to put up with these visits of these people for much longer. That was the divorce I was talking about, impending. Now, as you can also guess, does this say bourbon on the bottle, 10 high? Sour mash? It says bourbon whiskey right down there. Okay, I thought must have been distilled in Kentucky, I guess, if they're going to put bourbon on the label. As you can guess, poems about bars in here. I quit my job over 3 years ago now. I'm financially destitute, so the bars had to go, whether I liked it or not. But I never really liked going in the bars for the most part. A bunch of numbskulls are there, lonely people. And lonely people are lonely for a reason. And nobody wants to be around them. They can't figure that out. So the lonely people go to the bars to be with people, and then they aggravate everybody at the bar too. And one of the things that I really disliked about bars too is this, you buy me a drink, I buy you a drink, do-si-do, around the go. Just pay for your own damn drinks, quit bothering people. So here's a poem about a bar here. Expensive shots. At Republic for late night, and some guy he doesn't know is buying expensive shots for his crew. His unbridled douchebaggery here and there and everywhere. Why can't people see themselves when they're doing this? You go to a bar and act like that. Just flat out stupid, aggravating. Okay, now, just recently, like I said, Taylor Dibbert is a frequent contributor to DearBooze.com, one of my favorite sites. And Dear Booze, from time to time, puts out these little chapbooks of their best writing. Best stories and poems. And I just recently got this, and again, found a poem in here. Ha! That's me. So, yeah, I don't think you can buy these things. He sends them out to people on his mailing list. So I don't know, I'll go to dearbooze.com, click on cocktails. See that? Get it? Tails. Click on cocktails and you read the stories there. Or maybe if you want the chapbook, email them at Dear Booze, get on the site and ask them if they'll send one. I don't know. There's no barcode or ISBN on it. I doubt if it's for sale. So this poem is by Anthony Ward. It was a poem that appeared this year on Dear Booze. It's called In Solitude of Strangers. See? Solitude. Being alone isn't lonely for me. Loneliness is my companion. I hang out in haunts among the other lonely souls beneath neon sunsets down in dusky bars, hoping to pick ourselves up under the perpetual twilight of autumnal hues. With moods of a shade of brown pickling our brains, preserved in the amber like a sepia photograph blending with the mahogany, drinking to forget the reason we drink, finding happiness through sorrow, longing for loneliness amidst crowds. A symposium of strangers seeking solidarity in solitude. Carson McCullers' characters through Edward Hopper windows. So used to being unlucky, we consider luck to be unlucky. Ancient mariners disclosing intimacies with those we don't know, as opposed to those who know us best, praising the wisdom that fooled us. No longer getting drunk, but saturated, the abrasion raking the throat like a dry shave, masticating morsels of mentality, like the food afloat on the stomach, the heaving buoyancy lurking in the pit. Good poem, Anthony Ward. Find that on Dear Booze and maybe email a guy, ask him to send you a copy. All right, let's get out of here. I'll post a link to the Taylor Dibbert book in the comments below.